some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Karen's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just
Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday and everything seems to be running. So I am not going to say anything in just full awe that we have everything working and everything appears to be working. So I am going to just say yay, even though it is snowing, even though there is snow coming from the sky. Good morning. Good morning. I hope everything is going well. I am glad to be in my comfy chair, but did realize yesterday that with having my makeshift side table, that streaming from bed is not terrible. So looks like I might have options on really, really bad days, which is good. So we have a little bit of a shorter mornings with Mo today. We're not going to do Mo found what clips because Mr. Mo, and I do realize I do want to apologize. Yesterday, I was so excited about Mr. Mo passing his test that I realized I put out a community note that I was so excited, but I didn't read it. I didn't proofread it. So basically, it did somewhat look like Mr. Mo had maybe shuffled off this mortal coil. But I was just so dang proud of him because we had been told since he started this kind of condensed school that these exams were notorious for people failing them their first time and everything. So him coming back with a really high score and passing, I was just so doggone proud of him and trying to get in when I actually had internet that I didn't proofread. So sorry for the many heart attacks that I caused yesterday. I was just so dang proud of him that I didn't think of how things were written. And I was trying to get in between like internet going on and off. So but in a "What in the world is going on?" headline, according to, well, police sources and investigations, a Maryland worker disguised himself as a woman before taking the life of millionaire philanthropist Robert Fuller at a senior living facility, according to the latest reports. Now, a Maryland senior living employee or senior living center employee disguised himself as a woman, allegedly to take the life of millionaire philanthropist in his apartment before fleeing the scene and later shooting at a state trooper. Marquise Emilio James, 22. If this is his mugshot, how the hell did he dress up as a woman? I mean, that's enough of a goatee that I don't know. Uh, Maybe, that's the schooling where my son is going. Ooh, that would be fun. Yeah, it's oh gosh, there are advertisements for it on the radio, IT University or something. Look, I don't know. Mr. Mo is all excited about his schooling and what he's learning, and he has learned how to take over my computer, which is good. But yeah, I am not sure, but how did this man dress up as a woman? Because I'm guessing this is his mugshot, and how did he cover up the facial hair? Now, he was arrested and charged with the February 14th, so Valentine's Day murder of 87-year-old Robert G. Fuller Jr. at Potomac Senior Living Facility, the Montgomery County Department of Police have announced Wednesday. Now, James, who worked at the facility as a medication technician since October, allegedly wore a wig and a mask before taking Fuller's life at around 7:30 a.m. Now, police noted nothing appeared to be missing from Fuller's apartment and no weapons were found inside. So it does appear that Mr. Fuller suffered from a gunshot wound, but the force multiplier was not found inside. Now, security cameras captured, well, this man who dressed up as a woman wearing a distinctive plaid jacket as he exited through a tampered courtyard door whose alarm system had been deactivated. Now, investigators had previously determined that the door's alarm sensor had been turned off in January on a day that James was the only person to use the entrance. Now, folded paper towels were found at the facility and were believed to have been used to prop doors open on the day that he was killed, and again days later. Now, officials released images of the individual disguised on February 20th and received several tips that led to James being identified as the murder suspect. Now, around 3:30 a.m. Tuesday, a Maryland state trooper pulled over a silver Infiniti sedan without any license plates. Yeah, if you're gonna run from the cops, maybe don't run from the cops in a car that's gonna get pulled over. Not that, I mean, what are you gonna do? Now, during the traffic stop, the driver, believed to be James, fired shots at the trooper before fleeing the scene. Now, the bullets did miss the trooper by inches, but he did sustain some minor injuries, probably from ricochet. Now, without a doubt, our Maryland state trooper escaped an outcome that could have very much ended differently, according to Maryland State Police Lieutenant Colonel Steve DeBrecco on Wednesday. Now, investigators discovered that a 9mm shell casing at the scene was similar to one used in Fuller's death, linking the two shootings. Now, officials say they got a quote unquote lead that indicated that the same force multiplier was used in both shootings. Ballistic evidence being what it is, though, it's not an exact science, and I can already hear Runkle and Nick shouting, "Bullshit," like the Ricola guy. So, ballistics being what it is, they might be similar. Now, they did have U.S. Marshals track down James to Rockville, Maryland, where he was arrested after a brief foot chase. Now, James has been charged with first-degree murder in the death of Fuller and is being held at the Montgomery County Central Processing Unit pending a bond hearing. Now, he does face a maximum sentence of life in prison if convicted. Fuller was a retired Navy Reserve officer and high-powered attorney from Augusta, Maine, where he was known to be a major philanthropist. He donated more than $1.6 million to modernize an athletic complex of Coney High School in Augusta. Uh, Now, the project has stalled due to financial challenges faced by the city during the coup. Now, subsequently, an athletic field has been named after Fuller. So, just craziness. Now, since this is in New York, I doubt that the trial will be streamed, but this would be an interesting trial should they decide to stream it. With him being a philanthropist, and nothing being stolen, it really doesn't make sense as to if any of these things can ever make sense. I could see him doing this for a theft to gain something financially, but the fact that as of right now, it doesn't seem like anything was stolen, it really doesn't make sense. Now, usually I do not like to bring you guys this, but sometimes we have people that just need to take a little trip down to Snake Island. And then if they survive that, go to Lord Chippy. And unfortunately, this is from my home state, but I am an equal opportunity namer and shamer, and if you are a dumpster fire human, it doesn't matter if you're from Indiana or Istanbul. I'm gonna call you out. So I hope allegedly in Minecraft, if Gen Pop justice happens, I will not shed a tear. But let's get the naming and shaming on for Snake Island.
It's a curse, we've got a room for the wicked, the cruel and the worst. If you lie, if you cheat, if your soul's made of bow, you're bow for the fangs and the venom in style. Oh, one-way ticket to Snake Island. Oh, let the conscience, less cowards and gaslighters go. No anchor, no lifeboat, no tearful goodbyes. Just hissing and coming in cold-blooded skies. Backstab your friend.
This one broke my heart, but the more we let these cases go, the more we don't call out that these stupid child protective services are not fit for purpose. I don't know. I don't bring these all the time, but this is absolutely a terrible case. Among one of the worst cases a prosecutor has ever seen, talking about a recent child neglect sentencing. Now, this happened in Indiana, but it's not near my area. But this this little boy didn't deserve this. JK Buck, no, but Shizzy is making a song about the deer lover. A couple accused of not only refusing to feed, but laying hands and severely neglecting a 7-year-old boy until he passed away have been sentenced to 30 years behind bars. I I hope in isolation, I hope in the worst prison, like, send them to oh gosh, what is it? Oh, for the love of God, what is the province that Fannie Lewis covers? 'Cause I send them to the most crusty, roach-infested prison ever, do not feed them. I am, like, bare minimum, under the prison. Now, Kevin Gavarette, 27, and his on again, off again girlfriend, Julia Seasmore, 22, were both sentenced after they pled guilty to neglecting Gavarette's son, Caden, who was found passed away 3 days before Christmas in 2024. Quote, now, this is Marion County, so this is going to be Indianapolis. This is going to be kind of our capital where they see a lot of things. This is kind of like if you would think of a kind of big city, Indianapolis would be our big city, kind of our metro district, so they see a lot, and when a Marion County prosecutor says he's never seen anything the likes that he's seen with this case, that's saying something. In my 20 years as a prosecutor, this is among the worst cases we've seen, according to Marion County prosecutor Ryan Mears. As a father of a child who's the same age as Caden, it's gut-wrenching. This resolution ensures both defendants will spend decades in prison and provides certainty for Caden's family. Now, both defendants took plea agreements for neglect resulting in death with 2 counts of negligence of a dependent that is placed in a situation that endangers him or her. Now, Judge Marshall Dawkins Broadwell dismissed Seamore's battery resulting in bodily injury charge, criminal confinement charge, and third neglect charge. Now, honestly, don't know. No. Now at 9:32 or 9:42 PM on December 22nd, 2024, IPM, so Indianapolis Metro Police, were called to a home on Pershing Avenue. Now they found Caden, unresponsive on the bathroom floor, and unfortunately, despite life-saving efforts, he was pronounced dead on the scene, and first responders did notice things that didn't add up to this being an accident. He was also extremely malnourished, underweight. There were small burn marks on his face and body. So definitely just lock them up, throw away the key, and I don't care, kinda thing. But When I see something that's especially egregious, I will call it out. I just noticed that Lord Chippy was kind of putting me in a terrible mood. So on egregious ones like this, I will call it out and we'll have a shame Saturday. But now, in interesting true crime news, and I do think that this is definitely not a case that I have kept up with, but definitely one to keep an eye on, especially if you are a nerd like most of us with legal kind of wrangling. This is going to be a very interesting case. Now, the hockey star, John Grudeau's, I'm probably mispronouncing his last name, murder case has been thrown into chaos as new test results have been revealed. The beloved hockey star Johnny Gaudreau's accused drunk driver killer claims that he was not drunk when he fatally struck the would-be Team USA forward and his brother, and wants the entire case against him thrown out. Now, a lawyer for Sean Higgins, who is accused of fatally mowing down Gaudreau, 31, and his brother Matthew in New Jersey in 2024, has filed in court on Tuesday that their expert determined that Higgins' blood alcohol content was 0.075, which is below the legal limit of 0.08. Now, Higgins is a 45-year-old from Pilesgrove, New Jersey, and admitted to drinking that day, but wants all the charges against him dismissed and prosecutors to get a new indictment from a grand jury. And I do think that's interesting. Now, it'll be interesting to see if the state doesn't rebut this with information from their own expert. Now, Higgins' legal maneuver came just 2 days after the wrap of the 2026 Winter Olympics, in which Gaudreau would have competed as part of the U.S. men's hockey team, if not for his untimely death. Now, the squad went on to clinch gold against Canada on Sunday. Now, Gaudreau, who played in the NHL for 11 seasons, was honored by the men's team during their post-win celebrations. The late hockey player's family was invited to attend the semifinals in Milan to watch the game between the U.S. and Slovakia. Now, at Tuesday, during a hearing held over video, defense attorney Richard Kleinberger informed Salem County Superior Court Judge Michael Slavano of a new development following his own experts' findings. Now, it seems that it was a plasma test, not the whole blood, Kleinberger said, and based on our expert report, that brings the actual BAC reading down to 0.075. Now, prosecutors claimed that his BAC was over point oh 0.08 or 0.087. Now, Kleinberger said the alleged discrepancy may have impacted the grand jury on its decision to indict Higgins on all counts in the case, including first-degree aggravated manslaughter, reckless vehicular homicide, and leaving the scene of a fatal accident, along with tampering with, physical evidence. Now, he does face up to 70 years if he is convicted on all counts. It taints it, Kleinberger said of the indictment. Now, prosecutor Michael Melstrin said he needs times to run the findings by his own experts and investigators. Now, the judge said if prosecutors ultimately concedes to Higgins' new claims, then Melstrin would be allowed to try to get a new indictment against Higgins. Now, Klein also revealed that he turned over a counter plea offer in response to the prosecutor's plea of 35 years behind bars. Now, the judge has encouraged both sides to engage in talks and said he would help facilitate that if needed. Now, Higgins will be back in court on April 14th when Mestern is decided to reveal whether his office agrees that the new BAC findings, um, need basically require them to go back to the grand jury and throw out these charges, and where things stand with plea negotiations. Now, he was still, even if he was completely sober, he still drove away from a scene where two people died. I don't think there's any walking away from that. What kind of human, knows they ran two people over and doesn't render aid, runs away? I just that's where you lose me. Now, Higgins did lose a prior bid to get the charges against him reduced or dropped on the grounds that Gaudreau brothers were drunker than he was, contributing to the accident. Now, the siblings, both married dads, had been riding their bikes single file on the shoulder of the road in Oldsman Township when Higgins struck them on August 29th, 2024. Now, another car did slow down to watch the two cyclists, but Higgins decided to pass that car and hit the brothers in the process. Now, he did pull over about a quarter mile down the road, and that is where police officers found him. Now, he allegedly told the officers he had 5 or 6 drinks. Now, the brothers were in town for their sister's wedding, which was scheduled for the following day. So, interesting. I don't think that absolves him. You still drove away from a crime. And look, I don't like cyclists. I live in the hilly part of Indiana where all the cyclists flock in their Lycra and their little side mirror helmets. But I don't try to pass them, and I don't, make things unsafe because at the end of the day, despite them being annoying cyclists, trying to tell me how to drive, they have a family to get home to, and I have a family to get home to. So I'm very, very careful, when I'm on the road. In fact, call me what you want, but I scared the giblets out of my kids, both my girls, when they got their driver's license. I said, "Every time you get behind that wheel, you are basically operating a weapon. It only takes 10 seconds of you not paying attention, and you have destroyed another family. It only takes one text, and you could ruin another family, ruin our family, ruin the rest of your life with guilt. You are driving a weapon." And I made that really clear to them. And maybe I was a little too harsh, but I really wanted to impart on them that it only takes a minute because I remember my mom sitting me down and saying that. And there's been so many times where, kids run out, they don't pay attention. And maybe it's more now that I'm a mom, I notice other parents not paying attention to their kids. So I'm like, you have to pay attention. You have to realize what a I felt like Uncle in that moment, I felt like Uncle Ben. With great power comes great responsibility and 90-second rice with in the microwave. I want Uncle Ben back. Uncle Ben's rice was awesome. I don't know why that's a tangent, but dang it. So it will be interesting if we get any updates about this. It does look like it's being streamed on Law and Crime, so it might be something that I look at. I would tag a DUI guy in this. Jim, Mr. Mo is going to go by the post office today. He is actually, since he is on a break, he is going to be picking up the boys. And I forgot to ask him before he'd already left uh, yesterday. So he is picking it up. And thank you. I appreciate it so much. I'm excited. I just, yesterday was a bit of a cluster trying to figure out the interwebs. So I did not really leave the house, but he is planning to go. Now, in more courtroom shenanigans, a brawl erupted in an Ohio courtroom after a judge handed down a reduced sentence for a teen unaliver. Now, chaos erupted in an Ohio courtroom when two hot-headed families clashed after a judge handed down a reduced sentence for a 20-year-old who copped to fatally shooting a teenage boy, according to dramatic video captured. Now, the wild melee broke out on Tuesday morning in Hamilton County courtroom between the victim and the shooter's families, just moments after Latrell Rogers pled guilty to involuntary manslaughter for killing the 17-year-old Edwin Mizell Arrington, and he was slapped with 12 to 17 and a half years in prison, according to local news. Now, footage showed Rogers being hauled out of the courtroom as family members shouted, "Love you," while Arrington's grieving loved ones yelled back, "F you," during a a heated verbal spat ensued. Now, they couldn't leave it there because why treat anything with dignity? Nope. The feuding families, along with staffers and attorneys, jumped to their feet as the brawl spilled into the hallway, where deputies and court officers scrambled to break up the fight. The disturbance was so loud it disturbed proceedings in my courtroom, said a fellow Hamilton County Common Pleas Court judge, Christopher McDonald. I saw multiple people being arrested and not complying with deputies' orders. The Cincinnati courthouse was temporarily shut down due to, well, the shenanigans, forcing frustrated jurists to cancel their morning dockets. Now, three people and a minor were cited for disorderly conduct following the dispute and are due back in court on Monday, according to the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Now, Arrington's mother, Shamika, said tensions boiled over after her family was dissatisfied with the sentence handed to her son's killer. He shot my son 5 times in the back when my son was trying to run away from him because my son had saw the gun, according to the distraught mom. 5 times my son was left for dead in the cold for 4 hours until I found him. Rogers knows he isn't going to be gone for a long time. He's still going to be able to come home and be with his family, while me and my family have to mourn my son every holiday and every birthday. Now, before taking the plea deal, Rogers was reportedly facing life in prison for firing multiple deadly shots at Arrington at Cincinnati's University Heights neighborhood on January 1st, 2024. Now, he was arrested more than 4 months later and indicted on these murder and assault charges. Uh, yeah, unfortunately, there is no justice. And when you have a normally, I don't bring the defendants' families into things, but when you have a defendant's family who shows no grace, it is so hard to imagine the victims having to sit through statements praising. So, yeah, that I would be infuriated. I would. Well, now time for my favorite part of this where I show you guys the headlines that make you go, "Well, this is the reason the Anunnaki haven't come back to give us more technology." In our favorite part of the headlines, where I pull out the crazy ones that make us wonder, "Doggone it, what is this timeline?" And thank goodness I'm an inside cat.
The G-Keep scrolls, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final form Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Well, if you are having a bit of a hard time, maybe it's because the earth is messing with you. No, literally. The earth is messing with you. A spike in the earth's vibrations could be scrambling brains with bizarre ringing noises. It's not tinnitus, the earth just hates you. A weather watchdog has reported an uptick in the Earth's hum like heartbeat, raising concerns that it could affect people's brains. Well, I mean, that explains a lot, actually, explains all of 2026. Known as a Schumann's resonance, this natural electromagnetic frequency creates waves in the gap between the Earth's surface and the ionosphere, the layer above the Earth where sunlight catches particle or charges particles and allows radio signals to travel long distances. Now, created and maintained by lightning strikes around the world, this literal rock music generally vibrates at about 7.83 cycles per second if you measure it in hertz. Now, according to a online space weathering app, though, Mateo Agent, there has been a spike in this pulse throughout February, which they say has a potential to cause some issues. Now, the concern is that Earth's rhythm is believed to affect the brainwave patterns associated with everything from sleep to concentration, meaning that that sudden spike could theoretically throw off our neural equilibrium. Indeed, anecdotal reports have linked a disturbance in this force field to a variety of symptoms, including headaches, dizziness, brain fog, ringing in the ears, and even mood swings, along with disrupted sleep. During the sleep or the preceding relaxation period, the brain creates theta waves, which clock in at between 4 to 8 cycles per second, generally in sync with this Schumann Hertz thing. Now, any change in that cadence could possibly disrupt people's circadian rhythms, literally jolting them awake. Now, scientists track these disturbances using a scale that runs from 0 to 9, with 0 signifying calmer conditions and 9 synonymous with geomagnetic maelstroms that impact satellites, power grids, and radio stations. Now, there were reportedly 4 days in the past month where the scale surpassed 5, meaning that, people that are sensitive to this could I mean, I don't know, maybe if your midichlorian count is really high. However, scientists haven't really established a concrete link between the Earth's heartbeat and our mental patterns, so this is all conjecture, but I thought it was interesting, so there you go. I thought I saw something here I wanted well, a skull from the a dinosaur from hell has apparently been discovered with a giant sword sticking out from its head. I'm guessing that horn? Dinosaurs have always terrified me, and then they went and made Jurassic Park, which I thought, okay, people would learn their lesson. And then they continued to make Jurassic Parks, and I'm like, people are stupid. Because you'd think if it didn't work the first time, no one would invest more money in it, but they keep making theme parks. So I remember asking my mom at 10, why did they continue to make theme parks with dinosaurs when the first one was so bad? And I was and my mom was like, "It's a movie, be quiet." And Mr. Mo says the same thing to me. He's like, "Just watch the pretty colors. Stop asking about logic and plot points." Fossil hunters may have made the find of a lifetime, the skull of a supersized dinosaur from quote unquote hell with a sword like horn protruding from its head, per a study published Thursday in the Journal of Science. This find was so sudden and amazing, it was really emotional for our team, said study co author Paul Sereno, a professor of organismal biology. I'm sure that is an orgasmal biology, but I think it's organismal biology and anatomy at the University of Chicago, per Popular Science. Now, the newly discovered carnivore, dubbed Spinosaurus mirabilis, was one of 55 fossils that Sereno and his team unearthed in a 2022 trip to Niger. He dubbed it an expedition of the century, according to ABC News. Now, according to the researcher, the primeval predator was a formidable looking specimen boasting a distinctive sail fin on its back and perhaps most uniquely, a 20-inch scimitar like bone jutting from its forehead. I mean, this would not be a Pokemon I would want to get. Between 16 to 20 feet tall, S. mirabilis was roughly the same size as the mighty T. rex, which lived around the same time. In Jurassic Park 3, a Spinosaurus famously dispatches a T. rex by breaking its neck. I'm glad we're getting, Jurassic Park in here. In real life, this gangly creature was probably more akin to an oversized egret pursuing fish and other aquatic prey, which it trapped using its long snout and rows of interlocking teeth. I envisioned this dinosaur as kind of a hell heron that had no problem waiting on its sturdy legs in 2 meters of water, but probably spent most of its time stalking in shallower, waters for large fish of the day. Now, coincidentally, the 2022 expedition wasn't the squad's first encounter with this particular dinosaur. During a 2019 expedition, the team uncovered several fossils, including the base of a crest and a bone that they couldn't place on a Spinosaur like skeleton. But they found that, when they went back this time, that, oh, this, bone goes on the forehead. It was a unicorn dinosaur. Make that into a plushie, and you have just won over girls. So there you go. I mean, interesting. And, just in case you were wondering why, well, you know, plagues of locusts back on the tables, boys. A tourist hotspot has been beset by a biblical plague of locusts, as captured in dramatic new video. He's like, "Stop, I am not your fluffy emotional support animal. I just want to live on your heated chair." Officials in Spain's Canary Islands are sounding alarm bells after an epic swarm of locusts descended upon the popular vacation destination, as seen in dramatic footage circulating on social media. Over the past few days, the scenic islands of uh, look, I'm going to go ahead. I know Tenerife, basically the Canary Islands. Look, there are words I don't even know. And then they have been beset with a biblical plague of short-horned grasshoppers, according to the Express. Originally hailing from the Sahara Desert in Africa, the notorious crop pests were reportedly driven to the sunny Spanish Isles by humid yet mild temperatures. Now, the Canary Islands were hit hard with the insects swarming the tourist hotspots of, touristy places in the Canary Island. Now, footage shows the bugs darkening the skies like something out of the Mummy movies. While locusts don't pose a threat to people, they could potentially devastate the island's agricultural industry, including vineyards, if the swarm snowballs into a full blown infestation as it did years ago in the island. Borne aloft by easterly winds accompanied by airborne Sahara dust, desert locusts are the world's most destructive migratory pest, according to places. Now, a 250-acre swarm of critters, acre swarm, holy, nope, burn it with fire. You know, I'm not saying that napalm is good for anything, but napalm might be good for this. I am throwing out there that there are legitimate times to use weapons of mass destruction, and I think locust might be it. At this point, I don't c I care little about spots on my apples, give me that DDT. I mean, hey, yeah, if it's your jam, bring your fryers, you can have a bunch of crispy critters. Uh, so they definitely are able, or are possibly capable of consuming the entire island's, agricultural future. However, the government of the Canary Islands do remain confident that the swarm will not escalate into a full-on aspect or infestation. The next 2 days are going to be key, declared Francisco Fabelo, who oversees the environment of Cablido. If the adult specimens that have arrived are exhausted, they will die and nothing will happen. If we see co-populations, that could mean they're reproducing, and then we'll have to see if it happens between this afternoon and tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the Association of Farmers and Ranchers of the Canary Island said windborne locust plagues from Africa are common and nothing to worry about, on the isolated islands. They arrive very weakened and they're not in a position to settle or reproduce, he assured. Nature generally takes care of it, and many times they end up being preyed upon by birds. Now, that being said, the Canary Islands are no strangers to being devastated by these plagues. In a serious incident in October 1958, desert locusts from Africa's pillaged the Canary Islands, especially in Tenerife, wreaking havoc on tomato and potato plantations. Now, in the response to that, the Ministry of Agriculture dispatched planes to fumigate from the air, while residents and farmers try to combat the grasshoppers from the ground using bonfires, noise, and poison baits. Now, this reportedly followed a similar scourge that ravaged 10,000 hectares of crop in a region just 4 years earlier. So, yeah, this is why God didn't make me in charge of the ark because, like, creepy crawlies would have not gotten an invitation. They just wouldn't have. Y'all, what in the name of giblets? Now, I understand this might have different cultural connotations, but you're probably not gonna see me doing this. People are allegedly, meditating inside of coffins in Japan to gaze at life through being conscious of death. I you know, I just wanna go to Japan, I just wanna go to the Sailor Moon store, I wanna eat all the candies, maybe learn to like sushi, like, I don't I don't think I'll be doing the coffin meditation because I have very few places that I actually wanna go see in my life that I'll actually get my inside cat behind out of my house to go to. Japan would be one of them, but I don't think I'll be doing this particular part of the tour. What started as a quirky offering from a funeral home in Japan's Chiba prefecture has blossomed into a full-blown trend among Japan's Zen seekers. Coffin lying, or the practice of meditating inside a coffin, is giving people a safe, if rather claustrophobic, space to contemplate their mortality. I do that at 3 a.m. when I wake up trying to figure out if a liger and a tiger had a baby, would it be a Lear? I don't need a coffin to contemplate these things. Now, some people just like it to recharge, nothing like a little coffin nap to make you happy for life, I guess. Now, while coffin lounges might sound gimmicky to Americans, the concept of kuyo, which translates into memorial service, is a well established part of Japanese culture and helps explain the national tradition of embracing the fragility of life and the beauty of death. Coffin lying has also risen amid a period of record high, mental health crises among Japanese youth, prompting people to get creative with mental health advocacy. Businesses promote their coffin lying services and say this kind of meditation is useful for people that want to spend time alone to ease their nerves. Yeah, spending time alone in a coffin, it helps me with my people problem. I I don't know if this is good for us inside cats, but hey, your journey to whatever works for your mental health is yours. I just don't think I'm gonna hard pass on RSVP no for this one. Now, the trend has officially grown big enough that there are different coffin options to accommodate different personalities. Okie dokie. If a plain wooden box doesn't calm your nervous system, maybe you'll like cute coffins. A newly opened Tokyo spa, Miso Kukan Kanoki, is more soothing. Designed by a company called Grave Tokyo, these colorfully decorated caskets are meant to facilitate a meditation experience where you can gaze through life through being conscious of death in style. In style, everyone. Now, customers have options for how they want their 30-minute session, $13 per 30-minute session to go. Naturally, there's a choice between an open or closed casket, but they can also opt for healing tunes or a video to be projected on the ceiling or total silence. Um, if this helps them, that is fine. Again, no, no, RSVP me, no. I have a feeling if I let Max plan my tour over to Japan, this would be on on our tour list, and I'd be like, "Max, why are we here?" And because I don't want to offend anyone ever. He'd be like, "No, it's totally normal. We all do this." So I'd get in the little box and I'd be like, "This is you're this is totally normal. Everyone gets into the coffin in Japan." And he'd be like, so I wouldn't want to offend not nobody. And he would probably this would be a dare. That this would. I Look, knowing my luck, I'd get in there, I'd be the most relaxed I've ever been, I'd go fall asleep, and then they'd try to cremate me. Look, I just this is terrifying to me, like, no, just no. Like, I'd rather try one of those $3 sleep pods that are in, like, their subways, which seem normal, they seem very nice, they seem a little claustrophobic-y, but yeah, I'd rather sleep in a sleep pod than this. This is terrifying. And then I was gonna save this for tomorrow, but, some days we just need this, and I will have Shizzy do this tomorrow with our favorite song, "Everything Devolves into Butt Stuff." But I found this, and this is this is when I saw the headline, I was like, this is how you know that the universe has your back every once in a while. There can be terrible, terrible headlines, but then the universe throws you a fossilized anus headline, and the world is right again. An extremely rare fossilized anus could reveal reptilian evolution. I mean, that's something to write home about. Scientists may have discovered the world's oldest butthole after unearthing a nearly 300 million-year-old impression of a reptile's, well, sphincter. As you do in Germany. It would be in Germany. Only in Germany. Now, according to a study that's going to be coming out in the Journal of Current Biology, soft, such soft tissue structures are extremely rare in the fossil record. There's an extreme drought of anuses in the fossil record. Nary a butthole to be found. I am not mature enough for this. And the further we look back in Earth's history, the more exceptional they become. It is a famous cloaca. Look, it's better to say but. Look, it's just I don't know most. And then Xerox was made, and these really weren't all that uncommon anymore. Now, Lorenzo Marchetti, a paleontologist at the German Natural Museum of History in Berlin, said in a statement. Now, he and his team described the fossil, which was found in the Thungarian forest in central Germany. Now, according to their analysis, it was a remarkably well preserved with belly scales and most notably a cloaca, sorry. So there we go. We got to see. I mean, it's not much of a but there you go. So many problems. I mean, if you I'm better with ultrasounds. I know you're gonna be I y'all. Now this is the oldest known impression, not only of an anus, but of a reptile, skin. Now, researchers said that the butt print's owner only measured around 3.5 inches in length, but nonetheless, it left a mark, as this was the first time that said trace fossil has been described. Now, researchers have dubbed it, okay, Cabrazinchus polurchus, noting that the animal's size and nearby footprints indicate that the critter was likely a Bolsarian. a early species of reptile. Now, the creature reportedly lived during a seminal time in cold-blooded evolution when reptiles were beginning to diversify. So there you go. The Germans found the fabled mummified butthole. I'm so glad that I do this on YouTube. Could you imagine me trying to do this in a real newsroom? Like, and today we learned about a giant breakthrough in herpetology. And then I'd just be like, alien butthole anus. I'm so glad I do this. Well, there you go. Richard Gere cannot be reached for comment. Well, you guys, I have you guys hooked up and ready to go over to Nick's. We won't be starting until 10:30 because, well, they ended early yesterday. So we will be back. I believe we ended with the medical examiner, but it seemed like we had a lot more to go through. So uh, we will be hanging out together. I do have an afternoon stream. So yay! Just yay! Have a wonderful, wonderful day if I don't see you. And let's see. So Corey Richens today, and tomorrow will be, weekend or weekly wrap up with Shizzy and songs and ridiculousness. So I will see you guys then. Remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry can of bitch fire because kindness doesn't equal doormat. I will see you guys later. Bye.